Hi everyone, this is Dan, and this is Vampirella number 2. This is 50th anniversary reboot of Vampirella. Really nice cover right here. Like all Vampirella covers, very suggestive. Anyhow, so I did the first issue, which was the Ethan Van Sciver cover, and I wanted to continue doing issues number 1 or 2 and 3, I should say, because your boy Zach never ended up reviewing them, and I think that's a shame because they're actually really good. Uh, and so we go back, and it's the same thing. You have the therapist narrating over Vampirella, also kind of co-narrating as they're kind of sitting together, and she's describing what happened in the past. So you got Vampirella in L.A. She's just kind of lounging about, notices something bad. Here we got a drug deal going on with a kid down here, and Vampirella does the Vampirella special and eats some dude's neck out. Pretty crazy. I like how she eats him out and then later she burps. It's pretty funny. So the therapist is kind of listening in and is like, okay, so your mom called you out and said you're wasting your life. And you didn't really like that. So and then Vampirella starts to mess with him. She finally takes off her clothes and puts herself in her traditional Vampirella costume. Right. By the way, Ergun, the artist, does a better job in this comic. Though there are still some times where the artwork is very inconsistent. I guess a good example is what's a good one? Like this is like I really like this art, but some other ones like her face is kind of off. So she kind of gets a big bugaboo about her mom talking crap about her. So she goes to a speed dating session, and this is pretty funny. She runs into all these stereotypes at a speed dating session. I like some of this. This guy's like, "I dig me some white chicks," and then this chick is like, "I dig me some white chicks," and you got the old Asian man, "I dig me some white chicks." It's pretty good. She eventually leaves the dating session and runs into a taxi driver and ends up hooking up with the taxi driver. Bow chicka bow wow. Anyhow, so it was basically a pretty naughty hookup, just something spur of the moment, and kind of interesting. So again, as I said in the last issue, I'm not sure. I think Christopher Priest is somewhat injecting himself with this character a little bit. Not 100%, but I do know Christopher Priest is a very religious man, which almost got him in trouble with the nut jobs that run comic websites. But Christopher Priest being Christopher Priest, you know. So this is really good. So this guy, he's kind of interrogating her, and he's kind of poking at her that kind of making observations about her hooking up with this taxi driver, and he's saying all women are crazy. They just hide the crazy till you're locked in. But see, this one here, the crazy was leaking out of her eyes. You missed it because you were lonely. Our loneliness is like cancer eating through us, leads us to make really bad choices, trying to fill a hole where God should be. And this is sort of like, ooh, I was sitting here and I was like, oh, is Christopher Priest gonna ruin this? But it's actually not that bad. It's not too preachy. It's no Bible verses getting thrown here. But I like how the only thing he's written down on his notepad is crazy vampire bitch. It's pretty good, man. I kind of like it. It's not being disrespectful to the Vampirella character, but also kind of bringing the character down a few notches. I kind of like it. So she goes off to go take care of a job, and this is where we're introduced to these characters, the nuns, and they're a part of an occult exorcist team from the Vatican. I don't know if these are characters that have always been in the Vampirella universe. Again, I'm not a hardcore Vampirella fan. I'm actually just jumping into this reboot as a fresh thing. I do like to do this with reboots, as anybody who's seen me do a review of House of X. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I'm not familiar with these characters beforehand, but I will say the art by Ergun on these characters and the concept is super fucking cool. I really dig it. It's actually pretty cool. And I like how they're teaming up with Vampirella to go take care of a werewolf. And I like how they're all talking smack. Like their leader is okay with working with Vampirella, but the rest of them are like, we should kill her. She's like, an unclean abomination. And it's pretty cool. Gives you a lot of, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Hellsing and the Catholic priest from Hellsing. Very, very interesting. So they break into a satanic cult right here. This looks like a scene straight out of like Berserk or freaking Eyes Wide Shut or something, or like Wolf of Wall Street. And the nuns come in, shoot up the place, and this is, by the way, this is kind of like a bit of a contradiction right here. This character shoots up with an AK-47, and then the next scene you see, it's an AR-15. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, Ergun, you need to remind yourself what guns this is. So they go over, the werewolf finally shows up, and he gets his shit wrecked by Vampirella. And she kind of explains why she's doing it. She's not allied with any of these creatures. She doesn't even consider herself a vampire. So it's kind of so for her it's almost like she's doing it for fun, though the therapist is kind of intimating to her that there's probably deep down inside something else that's getting her off to do this kind of stuff, these kind of good deeds, since Vampirella isn't necessarily a hero. At least that's what I'm getting from this. So we get into, you get some pretty cool action. By the way, the narration right here by Chris Priest is fantastic. I love this. You know how like happy I was to like kind of read through this, because I was like, oh yeah, man. Like I thought like people had kind of like abandoned this, and everyone was like, that's the Frank Miller thing. I don't want to do that. But I was really happy to see these dialogue boxes come back. It really helps this comic book a lot. It makes it very enjoyable. Again, it isn't a very structured story. Vampirella, these issues, or at least what I'm saying, Christopher Priest isn't really the kind of guy that goes for a standard structure. But he does a good job of generating conflict and introducing you the characters, so you can kind of forgive him on it, and it's exciting and fun. So I'm like, I'll let it pass. I still prefer a basic structure in a comic book, but Chris Priest does such a good job that I'm like, I'm good with it. This is also really funny. So the nuns, they hire like this Hispanic freaking cleaning lady. And you think she's just there to clean up all the blood and the gore. One of the wolves comes out. She freaking smacks him with the broom and freaking sidekicks the werewolf so hard it blows his guts out. I was like, holy shit. It's freaking awesome, dude. Also, this guy is apparently going to be important in the next issue. I don't know. I don't like emo dudes, so we'll find out. But yeah, really, really exciting and fun issue. Honestly, I've been kind of enjoying this. So it's kind of a rarity for modern comics, but I was happy to report that this is definitely a lot of fun and enjoyment. Now, I will say this, you might want to wait till it's in like a $1 bin, because $3.99 is still kind of steep for 20 pages, but definitely worth checking out and reading. And anyhow, that's it. Let me know if you liked the video. Hit the thumbs up if you did. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications. If you got any comments on Vampirella #2 or any of the 50th anniversary issues by Christopher Priest, leave them down below. And I will see you next time.